Yes, thank you very much. This is also a very interesting topic. Although we look from the outside, you see, it's like, yeah, houses, okay, it's good to have a house. If you don't have a house, that's not the thing. There's a key in houses that's very, very important. Not only because it's a house and it accommodates people, but it's the most common building that you see on the outside. It is also the medium that countries is evaluated by. They talk about the country is so many billion or whatever, according to the value of the property in the country. So property is not always the best, let's say, investment or give you the most back or whatever. It's not always an easy investment also, but it is the most important thing in property in the first place is the fact that you can enter the property market. Everyone can enter it. You don't need to be a genius to enter the property market. The interesting thing is that in South Africa, people only buy a house on average. The first house buyers is 38 years old. 38. Well, let me tell you, I think that's at least 10 to 15 years. Not too late, but it is not supposed to be so late. In your life, as quick as possible, buy property, because there's something in a property that's very important. Because number one, I mean, you need to stay in a property. You need to have a property yourself. There is very much growth in property in South Africa. The last 14 years, the property market growth was in average 12%. So it's not bad in essence. You can get things that gives you better. But it is a very secure situation also. But there's even a bigger key in property, namely to invest, and that we will get to later on in what we said. According to Kiyosaki, there's 4 quadrants of people and economical quadrants, if you can say it like that. The first one is to be employed. Most people are employed in the sense of that they go and they find a job themselves, and then they are employed, and they give their time for salary, for money. They sell their hours. Most people are not able to go beyond this, but these people can also have a property. That's the most important thing. Then we get self-employed, maybe like a doctor or something like that. The business is a plumber. The business is basically around you, and you're the one that's handling it. And then the third one is a real business. They say a real business is a business when you can walk away from it and it is just as running as well as you being there. So being self-employed is a business, but it's not really a business situation. If you're on holiday, the doctor is away, there's no income, and then they're waiting for you to come back. And then we have investing. The first quadrant is investing. All people can invest. Although you are only maybe a person that's employed, that's not wrong. You can enter the let's say, no, not maybe for me, I think it's the highest quadrant is to start to invest. And people say, yeah, but I do not have money to invest. But you need to understand that investment does not start with money. It starts with your mind. You invest with your mind and not with money. When I realized this thing that you invest with your mind, you can make plans and get plans from the Lord, and you don't need a lot of money. If you have money, well, then it goes much quicker. But I started to invest in property, and I bought quite a lot of properties without putting down any money. Because the investment market in terms of property, you can enter with the money of the bank, and you can handle it, and someone else is paying for the bond and all those type of things, and you can enter the investment realm at the end of the day. So it's very important, but you need to understand that investment does not start with money. It starts with your mind. It starts with your thinking about life. You need to, before you start to even think investment in terms of finances, you must think of investment concerning yourself, your lifestyle, how you're living. I mean, a self-education program is an investment in yourself. To spend some money on yourself, to maybe even have a holiday for yourself, is an investment on yourself. There's lots of things. Maybe to buy a good bed is a good investment on yourself. I realized that later on in my life, when I bought a decent bed, that it's far better than not having a decent bed. It's an investment in yourself. You need to invest in yourself, because that's the only thing that will differentiate you between you and someone else. To become a wealth creator is to start to think in terms of investment, investing in yourself, investing in education, investing in terms of make time to visit people that can stimulate you, that can help you, attending courses and all these things, at the end of the day, that we can get into developing yourself to a place where you need to rise up in life, if you can say it like that. People want to invest with money, but you invest with your mind. You need to start think about life and how to get the things that you need for yourself out of life. And one of those things is definitely very, very important, is a house. Because a house brings stability in your life. I always say to people, the best thing that you can do to your wife is buy her a house as quickly as possible. Because the stress in having your own house, less stress in having your own house, you can do what you want, you can sort it out, you can build on, you can put pictures against the wall. To have your own place and know we're coming home and this is our home. And we buy it for ourselves, and because it's an investment, number one, in ourselves and in the lifestyle that we need to live, especially when you have a lot of children. In terms of me, myself, 6 children, it was the best thing I've done in my life, was to buy a house and start there. Although it was a very small house, it started out as a house of 87 square meters. And it ended up, eventually we built on room by room by room, and it ended up in 300, 400 square meter house. It was the best thing we could have done, because it is for ourselves. We need space. We need place to work. We're working from home, and we need a place to put our stuff and our cupboards and computers and everything. And not to see it as something, is it essential or not essential? It is something you need to see that you owe yourself to produce something good in life. My house is not necessarily, let's say, very luxurious and so, but in terms of space, and it's neat, and you can do something, you can change something, everything is working, and you live in it, and it is very nice to live in it, and you've got for yourself some space to do what you ever want to do. In terms of house, not only buying a house for yourself, we must understand that we need to get to a point, we've always said it, to financial freedom. And in principle, we say that financial freedom is when you have a passive income that exceeds your active income. Now, passive income is not always so passive as people want to say it, except when you maybe have a big business. But it's always some sort of involvement that's always there at the end of the day, so that you can keep your eye on it and keep it on direction. So passive income is not always so passive, but surely it is much more passive than an active income in terms of work. But the reason for passive income is not always to stop working necessarily. It is to buy back your time, so that you can spend your time on things that you really want to do, and it's really your passion, or maybe your hobby, or maybe spend more on relationships, or helping other people, educating other people, or even ministry unto other people, and all those things. So, and a house is very important in terms of that you need to understand, because the most basic thing we need to understand is that we need to sleep. Tonight, when I say bye to the people that visiting us, it's cold outside. I can't believe it that people sleep outside, and one night outside cannot motivate you to get a house and to move the world to get a house. To do anything to get a house, to get a place, to get a roof, to get warmth and a bed and everything, because we weren't made to sleep outside in the cold and exposure to all these things. And that is, in the first place, as we said, for yourself. We need a place to stay It is the easiest investment that you can enter into, is to just buy a house. I mean, I've bought this house I'm in myself now for, I think, 20 years. I bought it for 100 and what was it? 110,000, 112,000. And at the moment, I mean, it is like worth maybe 1.6 million. So it's really, it generates money for you, and capital gains at the end of the day, in your own house or even in the other houses. And so if you buy the right property at the end of the day. Okay, so you can change your house, you can leverage your house, you can put on maybe a let's say a flat. My son, and when he married, they stayed in a flat for 5,000 rand a month. So they went and they bought them a house with 2 flats. And I think the house was 1.3, 1.4 million. At the end of the day, they're paying basically, again, 5,000 rand a month, but it's now their property, and they're staying in a house, not a flat. You see, sometimes you just need to understand these ways to pay the same amount of money, but you can escalate your level of living very, very much. And now they're owning the house, and they get more and more money each year for the flat, and they're paying even less and less for their own house that they're staying in, compared to a flat, a 1-bedroom flat they stayed in. That you cannot compare that thing. But I think you will see that Wealth Creators has always got a let's say a department of property. As I said, it's not always the best return on income, but when it's the most safe place to put your money. And because the most thing that can happen is it burn down, and then the insurance will pay you back on that. It is very interesting to see that people do not really know. You know, I'm working with men, and most men do not know, how to buy a house. What is a bond? How is a bond working? They fear it. When I was as a congregation leader, I realized that men they fear these things because they do not know. They do not know how these things are working and stick together. And we need to educate ourselves concerning it, especially what is a bond and how does it work. Because the working of a bond is in the house market, one of the keys that you need to understand, that the bank is making a lot of money out of you. You see, the biggest reason why I am fond of property is the fact that property are actually for free in the market. Most people say, listen, where are you now from? Because I've never seen a property for free. Yes, there's always a price on the property, but you can make a plan in such a way that the property is for you for free. With my 6 children, I never had a salary in terms of ministry and all these things, and I could buy a lot of properties because I bought them all for free. I bought them with a plan. I invest in terms of a plan. Later on, the bank decided not to loan any longer for me money, and then I challenged the Lord to say, give me another plan. How can I buy properties still for free? And he gave me a plan, and I still bought another round of properties. Without bank loans even. So there's ways and means how you can do the thing. And you must just realize that you are in the first place the key. You've got the capacity in yourself to think out a way, or to get a way that you can change things that it works for you. We must understand that to get financial freedom in your life, and you need to win the bank. You need to be, and by winning the bank, you either need to join a bank like Geek, or you need to become the bank yourself. And you need to start to think how banks is working, and you need to use their tricks on themselves. And that's the only thing that I'm doing. The bank has got a scheme to make a lot of money out of me, and in the meantime, I'm making a lot of money out of them, because I'm making use of their scheme and just turning it around to work for me at the end of the day. And the first thing that I want to say, you need to get a house for yourself. The second thing is you can enter this market. Everyone can enter it. The third thing is that you can enter it without money even. You need to just get a plan together, how what is it, start to buy these places without money, in terms of putting your money to pay for it. And then in the last place, that's very important in terms of houses, is that it is a very important key in terms of pension. I could never see how could a pension fund really finance me, especially when I realized I need to get a pension at a late age, 36, 40. And then I got a plan to buy houses, and I got a 10-year plan, and I finished the plan in 12 years, and I'm much better off than most people. I'm basically, in terms of pension, there's only 1% people in our country that gets more than 25,000 rand a month in pension. There's only 10% people in our country that gets more than 15,000 rand pension a month. The average pension in our country is 7,500. So I could make a plan, and within 12 years, I was far above the 10%. I was in the 1% bracket. Because property can give you an enormous advantage in terms of pension. I always tell people, and I'm not going to show you it now in terms of let's say the figures or so, but you need to put down a lot of money to retire 25,000 rand a month from a pension scheme. You need to really put down a lot of money. It is not easy. In money-wise, presenting money-wise in 10 years' time, with 1,000 people actively in front of me, I could find only one person above 4 million rand pension. Now, if you retire with 4 million, you can give yourself 10,000 rand a month for 10 years, and then it's gone. No, sorry, 20,000 rand a month. And then the pension is gone for 20,000 for 10 years. So, and well, there's lots of things that we can talk about it, because there's interest and, and the devaluation of money and whatever, but that's around about what we're talking about. So you need to go much higher than 4 million in terms of a pension. And that is where property can help you a lot. I can show you on figures, on the average what property is doing, and the average in terms of bonds, that if you invest 500 rand a month for 40 years in property, by the way, by buying maybe in the first place only a 1-bedroom house, and maybe a 1-bedroom flat, and then a 2-bedroom, you pay it off. There's a plan. Every 5 years you buy a place, because you put double the what is it, the bond, what they ask you for the bond, you can pay it off. If you put double down, you pay it off in 7 years. But that's a whole thing on its own. I can show you. It is in my course. But if you put 500 rand a month, now 500 rand is not much. If you put that down in property and you just go on buying, you can retire with 8 million rand of property, giving you 80,000 rand a month. Because that is what the capacity of property is all about. And I'm talking about residential property. That's not commercial property. Commercial property is times 10 what I'm talking about. But we assume that you handle it on your own, and you do your own thing. So what I'd always advise to people is, buy yourself houses with one more. Maybe you've got 3 children and you buy yourself 4 houses. Each children can inherit a house one day, but the 3 houses of your children will be your pension at the end of the day. You can't believe it, how effective it's been working, although you need to be able to handle it yourself, because there's also problems in property. Let's be honest about it. But the amount of pension that property can it's got a capacity to give you is really, it's amazing. It is really amazing. But you need to start to believe in yourself. But we always give our money to someone else. It's fine, give it to a Sanlam or a Old Mutual. It's better to have a pension than nothing. But you must understand, they're doing very good with your money. and they give you about 5% of their profit that they're making, they're giving back to you. And they call it your pension. They're making enormous lots of money with your money. But if you can skip the middleman, you can make that enormous amounts yourself. But you need to get yourself together, believe in yourself, get a plan, execute it, and you can't believe it. All people that was able to follow, what I'm telling you now. I mean, money-wise, we've been presenting the last 10, 15 years. They're doing extremely well because property is really a market that we can enter. Anyone can enter it. It is not so difficult. There's different types of property in terms of even residential property that you can choose from. And you need to understand that property is the key to our society. And you need to understand that in this whole thing, the bank knows it, therefore they will give you the money with interest. And you must understand that bond, how that bond is working. Because it is not by accident that they will phone you within the 5 to 7 years if you got a bond and they want to refinance it. Because when you look at a bond and you've paid off 15 years on your bond of a 20 years bond, remember that when you buy a house for $1 million, you will actually pay 3 million because times 3. If you buy it over 30 years, it's times 4. Then it is 4 million for a 1 million house. And the others, everything over the million is interest that they get. So they're making a lot of money out of us. And you must understand that making the most of the money out of year 1 to 7. That's the place where they're making, where your bond, the installment, the biggest amount of your installment is only interest. And it's a very small amount that's going down as a down payment, where the actual, let's say, 1 million is coming down. I remember now we bought a property together with some people. It was a 1.3 million property. We had a bond for $1 million. And we are now in nearly year 15, and we are standing on 700,000. Believe it or not. Well, at this stage, we're not worried about it because let's say the tenant is paying the money actually for us. But just to give you an idea, especially when you buy the first property, you must beat the bank, and instead of paying the 3 million, you must pay less. So you can't believe it when you put a double payment down on the first month of buying a property over 20 years. It reduces your payback time with about 3 years. It's very, very much. The quicker you put down money, the quicker it eats up the money on which you had to pay interest. So you must understand that you need to beat the bank in that first 7 years, and because that's where they're making a lot of money out of you. But they give you the money to buy the property, but you need to beat them and not allow them to eat up your money, and you need to get it down. I always show people, when you put 100 rand, that's more or less the money for a pizza. When you put 100 rand in those first years down on your bond, over a 20 years time, that 100 rand becomes more or less 1,300 rand. It means when you put down 100 rand extra in those years, it brings down your interest that you pay less, 1,300 rand. So the moment I tell you now that if you can send me 100 rand, I will pay you back 1,300. People will empty their pockets to do it. Because what an investment to put down 100 rand and get a 1,300 back. But you can do it every day. That's what the banks are offering you to do, but we don't do it because we don't think that way. The bank gives you $1 million, but you're going to pay back 3 million. But the moment you put in another 100 extra, it becomes 1,300. And that's how we start to create money at the end of the day. Because as we put it down, we cut down our interest and we pay off the property, not in 20 years, but in 7 years' time. That's the aim. And then the bank is actually losing on you and you making the profit. And there's ways and means you can do it, because, I mean, when we start out buying properties, we buy cash flow positive properties. That means the property must give me, I must make profit on my property from day one. And it's possible. People say it's impossible. Well, if you believe it's impossible for you. But I don't believe it's impossible. And all my properties was from day one cash flow positive. So there was maybe not much money that we could pay extra, but you pay extra 100 and second year 200, 500, 700, and you can't believe it. You kill that thing and the property becomes quickly yours. And when it's paid off, you've got a pension fund that's delivering for you than no other pension fund you can believe at the end of the day. So that is where property is very important. But you need to understand there's in a certain sense, a bit more to properties, because there's transfer fees, and there's bond fees, and you've got a municipality, you've got your municipal account, you've got your property tax. You need to educate yourself around these things, especially, nowadays with the municipalities. The municipality is my risk number one, because they are not always so stable. And you need really to find out a way, to handle, let's say, the water and the electricity and all these things. That's a very big risk factor, but it is not impossible to control it. And you need, especially when you find good tenants at the end of the day. So I hope I could encourage you to be positive about houses, and really become eager about houses, and to see the benefits in houses, because houses is not only an opportunity, for you to live in. It is a very good opportunity in terms of making money and get some pension out of it, because it will give you much more back than, let's say, an average pension fund. And I can sit here today, and I'm basically, this year, I'm 20 years off the first year, when we started to invest in property as investment. And it was the best thing we have done in our lives, was to start to invest in property. And to play the trick that a bank playing on you, to play it back on them and let it profit you at the end of the day. And understand it's an opportunity for you. Property and bonds is an opportunity for you to create money. It sounds crazy, but creating money is making debt, then get someone else to pay it for you, and you get the benefit and the profit at the end of the day. It's not a normal way of thinking about it, but that is how it's working, and it's really working very well. Thank you very much.